Welcome back, y'all. It's Zell with Zell Media, here to review chapter 1032 of One Piece, entitled Odin's Beloved Song. This week's cover spread, we get to see Yamato helping some black cats deliver food, I think it was, but it didn't really go into it. But helping make deliveries with some black cats, I, as well as a bunch of people I know, are big fans of Yamato, and I'm always happy to see her on screen. And we get to see a bit more of her throughout the chapter. So it's been a week. Let's hop right into it. So we kick off this chapter with Marco and Izo deliberating about what's going on in the castle. Marco is very worried about why and what led to the severity of the wounds on Izo, ever the doctor. And Izo is very worried about what's going on with the samurai and this mysterious flame apparition that has shown up. Kazumbo, from we know about this, but they don't deliberate on it for very long. As the next panel, we see shifting over to the Iwata Chamber, which is the second floor basement, the second floor of the basement, where we find Yamato, Apu, Drake, and Fuga still running Yamato towards the next level, the place below the basement but above the armory. We find Yamato still turning down Apu, still not listening, but then turning to Fuga and saying that she really doesn't have the time just right now. But then she's kind of rudely interrupted by not only some of our favorite pirates in the world, Brook and Robin, falling out of the sky, but also a large ball of fire falling out of the sky after them with CP0 in tow inside of it. I will mention that Brook and Robin did decide, well, Robin primarily, but Brook and Robin did decide to stand up and fight for themselves when given that as when backed into that option, but it turned out that they didn't need to, as Kazumbo ate the CP0 agents and took care of it for them. Yamato, realizing that she has now seen this Kazumbo, this fire apparition, and noticed that it has transient properties, realized that it's very dangerous that it's heading towards the armory right now. So she has decided to take Fuga with her now and head with expediency down to the basement, down to the armory, so that she can take care of it before the aberration gets there. On the other hand, however, CP0 is spit out in front of Drake and Apu, who are still bickering back and forth. Apu then says, "Oh my goodness, CP0, what's the government doing here? This is going to be great news. I'll sell it to Morgans and I'll make a fortune." To which he promptly gets punched in the face by a CP0 member. And I gotta say, I was not upset by that. I hate CP0. Like, they obviously work for the Celestial Dragons. You're trash. But at the same time, who doesn't like seeing Apu get punched in the face? Like, it's great. It's great. Anyways, back on track. We have Apu getting punched in the face, and Mr. Bowler Hat then moves on to trying to fight Drake, stating that we know what you're doing in the Navy, so making it seem like they know about Sword. I'm not certain that they do, but if they do, I would not be surprised. They are an intelligence agency after all. As he goes to hit Drake, Apu steps in and hits him with a boom, sending him on his back. To which Drake kind of replies, "Oh, you're still alive?" And very sarcastically, Apu replies, "Yeah, I know this little thing called armament hockey." So I think this is very much confirmed by now, but like all of the captains, all of the supernovas have armament hockey and observation hockey, I would imagine. Otherwise, it'd be very hard for them to be captains and get to the level that they were. But it is what it is. As we go on, we find Drake and Apu actually working together after all to take care of these two CP0 members, while Robin and Brooke realize that they no longer have to deal with that problem and begin to run away, as they absolutely should. I'm sure people have many complaints about One Piece. It's a story that's been running for a very, very long time, and it is an amazing one that has been running for a very, very long time, but it's all produced by one person, and as such, there's probably some flaws all throughout One Piece, and I'll give it that. But one thing that isn't a flaw that's in One Piece is consistency. Oda is super consistent, and that follows here, even in his chicanerous acts. He continues to be consistent. So, just like we saw with the Brachiosaurus launcher, we now have King pulling back the crest of his head so that his beak slides into his face, elongating it out the back, and then making the sheesh face. I tweeted that earlier today. I thought it was really funny. But he lets go, and then his face just fires off like a laser. And then again, Oda's consistent. He says the line, "This is how pterodons used to hunt in the wild." And Zoro, very much like Sanji, just goes, "Oh shit, I didn't know." And then that's it. That's all there is to it. And then Zoro, of course, funnily enough, goes, "What about that fire? Is that also part of being a pteranodon?" And King just very frankly goes, "Nah, that's it. No elaboration." So I love it. I think it's great. Oda, you're the GOAT. No one's ever coming for that title. At least for me, Oda's the GOAT. I was very pleased by that. But so yes, Oda has had whatever mutation it is that takes place for these. So we saw this in Sasaki. We've seen this now in Queen and King. I'm really hoping that both Jack, though his fight's done and I don't think we'll see much from him moving forward, at least I hope X Drake got a modification. It's not really his style, so I imagine he would have turned it down, but it would just be really funny and I would appreciate it. Anyways, moving forward, we get to the more important part of the chapter. King, after hitting Zoro with a laser beam and Zoro hitting him back with a 360-pound cannon, is then unaffected when Zoro right after that launches the Dragon Twister and seems to be blocking this with his wings. Zoro seems to be pretty confused by this and then states, "You dragons and dinosaurs, you are really freaking good at sucking up damage, aren't you?" To which King replies that he is, but he's also special even in that regard. Which is ominous, because Zoro's kind of on a time limit, and he even states that in this chapter, going, he's got to figure out how to deal with this guy, or else he's not going to win. And now, granted, King comes down and decides to fight Zoro in a duel, which is pretty good of him, because I mean, he's kneecapping himself here. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Zoro's not gonna be able to keep up with him as much if he's in air. Granted, I don't think Zoro's so slow or anything like that King would be able to just constantly keep hitting him. But if he was in the air, Zoro would figure something out. Obviously, this is Oda's story. It's the Straw Hats. Zoro's always gonna win. But he comes back down to fight him with his sword, and again, Zoro gets absolutely flunked, this time into a rock. And as he gets flung into this rock, he's thinking, "Oh, like what's going on? I think I hear Shamisen." And then right after that, Odin's blade, Enma, starts to suck the Haki out of Zoro again, which is something that we haven't seen happen even when he was fighting on the rooftop, which is amazing, because it's like, you'd think if there was a time where it was going to happen, it would be then, but it didn't happen. But we then find out why it's happened, and the reason why it's happening is because, well, Hiyori is playing the Shamisen in the treasury repository, which I think is just probably on the other side of the Skull Dome where Zoro and King are fighting. But Orochi hears this and crawls towards her, and the simp that he is says, "Oh, don't want to ever wake up from this dream." I imagine that she's going to kill him. I really hope she does. I don't know. He might make it out alive. Who knows? This is where the chapter ends. And I think it's a good place to end the chapter. It's another cliffhanger as always. We've got, Zoro in a perilous situation, and we have the perilous situation that is Kazumbo and the armory, as well as a good understanding of what's coming up next. This was a major setup chapter, and although I don't think it was the greatest chapter in the world, it was very good for a setup chapter. There's a lot of fights that went through it that were very good. I enjoyed it all. I just think that there was more important things that we could have covered. So for me, at the very least, for the chapter review this week, I'd say it's a 6.5 out of 10. I feel like it went by really quickly, but not as much fights or information as I would have liked to see got in. It was kind of did half of both, which was good. Just not necessarily what I would have liked to see. But again, on reread, I imagine this chapter is going to be just as amazing as almost every chapter Oda releases is. And I look forward to it. All right, that's all for me for this week, guys. Nope. I have one more thing to say. For my chapter MVP today, I really want to shout out Robin. I think that it's amazing that she was the one to stand up and decide to fight, especially knowing it's CP0, especially knowing their strength. And again, we see her again putting complete faith in the Straw Hats to protect her, complete faith that she's going to be safe, and putting it all on the line for her, but also for the Straw Hats. And I think that's amazing, and I love that Oda keeps it consistent with that. All right, guys, that's all for me for this week. I hopefully will be getting a Blackbeard video out before the end of the month, so look forward to that. And I apologize for the Sanji video not coming out. Some schoolwork got in the way last week, so I apologize for it. But it will come out probably after I get the Yonko series done. I'll try and get the Straw Hat series up and running. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll see you next week. Deuces.